Hello and welcome to episode 88, season 4, episode 2 of Squib Kick Radio. I am your host, as always, Elias Powell, and I'm joined here again with both Riley Pollock and Harry Burton. It is that time of year again. Football is back. We are in full swing with both leagues, the CFL and NFL, and we are ready to fill your ears with endless amounts of football information. How are we doing today, boys?
Doing well. It's good to be back. It was a little lonely hosting the around the CFL pods during the off season, but a lot of fun to get, a perspective from every CFL city, one of their bloggers or one of their media members, so that was sick. But I'm excited to get some NFL in me. I know I'm always Heartbreak City when it comes to the Falcons and fantasy football, but it keeps me entertained. And CFL, like you said, 2 weeks in, so it's getting football weather outside here in Calgary as of today, and I'm ready to go. Harry, how you doing?
I am looking forward to Sundays having a purpose once again. And, things have been escalating for Chaboy over here. In a new location. Finally bought a house. One step closer to being an adult. Almost there. And
you're pretty much an adult now.
I don't know. I think I got a ways to go, but, we're working towards it. I just want to give a big shout out to Ring, the doorbell service. I think I only had 30 notifications today of leaves blowing in front of my house. So shout out to them to keeping me informed of my house. And shout out to the Durs for giving me a social activity as well to meet up with the squad. I mean, the new house is walking distance to the stadium, so we got somewhere to have a couple drinks before the game, somewhere to stumble back to after the game. Life, boys, we're coming back to normal.
Yeah, and I got to experience the home opener at your place, and I did the stumble home. It's definitely walking distance, a good distance away for sure. And
I wouldn't say it's
congrats.
A good, it's not that far. Like it's like a 15. It's like a 15.
Yeah,
it's like a 15.
Yeah, I mean you're not really parking any closer unless you want to sit in gridlock for an hour after the game anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a reasonable distance away.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats on getting a house. Now you and Eli both are homeowners, and I couldn't be further away from that. But it's gonna be all right. We're gonna survive. Riley's gonna get a house one day and join you two in the mortgage life.
You keep these solo pods up, or else it's gonna be no time until you're the big star, and me and Eli are just gonna be leeches to your back. So. Looking forward to that.
Leech away, boys. We're all in this together.
That's right.
Eli, what have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. Also, sort of just putzing around the house. The entire province is on fire right now, so shout out to the first responders and all the firefighters that are keeping us from literally burning alive. That's kind of where we're at right now. Things are... they're a little gloomy here.
Yeah, those pictures do not look sick.
Pretty honest. It kind of some days looks as though you just stepped through the gateway to hell, but we're dealing with it. That's summer in BC now, so glad football's back. Turn that attention somewhere else, but
yeah. I mean, when your week and a half of winter comes, it's gonna be brutal for you for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, we just hope the rainy season comes sooner than later. Help the firefighters out.
Absolutely.
Hope everyone stays safe out in BC, obviously. And, yeah, hopefully we can distract you a little bit if you are in that area. But let's get to some football, boys.
Yeah, we've got a jam-packed episode, as always, where you've got week 2 of the CFL to jump into. So we'll check in with you, Riley, on what's going on in our beloved CFL. Then, of course, we'll do a little bit of a quick recap of some NFL preseason. No one really gives a shit about that, so we'll really just highlight some quarterbacks and what is interesting in NFL preseason football. We can try and find something. And then, of course, getting into everyone's favorite annual segment, our fantasy football advice and tips. And today we've got quarterbacks. So we're going to be chatting quarterbacks, how you can secure yours and let them hoist you to a championship. But in typical Squib Kick fashion, we're going to start with the CFL. And Riley, what's going on?
Yeah. We got week 2 action. We had week 2 action. We're going into week 3 now. It was a couple tough games for a few teams, I got to tell you, and some teams looked like that they were world beaters, so we'll get into it. First game of the week in week 2 was BC and Calgary. The Lions took out the Stamps 15-9. Again, there was some a little bit of turmoil, a little bit of wishy-washiness from the Lions, as you know, CFL's trying to do this whole gambling thing this year, and it's 2 straight weeks where the Lions have listed a starter and then the other guy started, so that probably isn't making bettors too happy. But they pulled out the win. Calgary looks absolutely awful. O-line's bad. Bo's thrown 4 interceptions in week 2 for the first time in his career. Stamps are 0-2, boys, and gotta think that from this podcast, not a whole lot of sadness for the Stampeders.
No, they stink.
Yeah, honestly, it's about goddamn time the Stamps are terrible, okay? I've seen enough of your red jerseys in the playoffs, doing well on TSN. Sit in the basement, take 10 years to think about your lives, and then come back to me later.
I like the passion, Harry. And I agree with you. I just can't help but not feel bad for Stampeders after they've been really good for about 15 years. So have fun in the basement, boys. I don't think you're coming out. And we'll see you in 10 years when Harry allows you to be competitive again.
At least 10 years. At least 10 years.
The Bombers took out the Argos 20-7 in week number 2. Man, the Bombers look good. Caleros has been good. They've missed Andrew Harris for 2 games, but Brady Oliveira, the backup, also from Winnipeg, has been really, really good as his replacement. So it's smooth sailing for Winnipeg, and they're missing a couple big weapons. So that's scary. I think it could be them and the Durs at the top of the CFL all season long, but I'm not going to count out Montreal either, but we'll get to them right away. But Toronto, I mean, after a big win in Calgary, they looked pretty flat against Winnipeg this week, boys.
Yeah, they're struggling.
I think
it's.
I think we held expectations of Calgary based on last season and previous seasons, and them beating Calgary after 2 weeks honestly doesn't say much to me. So Toronto being flat just makes me even happier because it just reinforces how basement the Stamps really are.
Yeah, fair enough. So Winnipeg's 2-0, Toronto 1-1 now. Montreal beat Edmonton and beat them handily 30-13. That offense looks really good. I think William Stanback is the best running back in the league for my money. Vernon Adams, his pocket presence is really, really good. He can throw the ball well, he can run, he can make plays with his feet. And he's got 5 really good receivers. I think that Montreal offense is going to be stacked. And after Hamilton's kind of stumbled out of the gate here, Montreal could be the team to watch out for in the East, boys.
Yeah, they've got a complete team. It'll be interesting to see how they stack up once everyone else kind of finds their momentum and things start to fall into place in the East. But as of right now, they look good. They've definitely got that potent offense.
Yeah, and on the other side of that 30-13 loss, the Elks are bad. They're like Calgary bad. Trevor Harris hasn't looked very good. James Wilder's probably the lone bright spot on the offense. The defense is, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I expected more out of the Elks. They were my dark horse going into this season, and I think they have 2 touchdowns in 2 games. So that's just not going to do it. Trevor Harris, there was that picture of him all beefed up in camp, but he has shown me very little to start this year, boys.
They're just struggling. Edmonton's not in a good spot right now. I think we're going to see a lot of teams, I think, make a bit of a rebound here. These guys, they haven't played in 2 years, so
yeah, exactly.
It's going to take a few weeks to get back into game form.
Yeah, for sure. And the big one on the bill this week, boys, the Durs absolutely give it to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 30-8. Defense for 6 turnovers for the Riders. They had 180 penalty yards, the Riders did, and still just absolutely crushed Hamilton. So you clean those penalties up, and who it could have been much, much worse. Love the offense. I think Fajardo has used his feet when he's needed to really well. He's thrown the ball around. William Powell looks, rejuvenated after a season off. He's a little bit up there in age for a running back, but that year off, Powell's looked really, really good this season so far. We're hoping Shaq Evans isn't too injured. He limped off with an ankle injury early in Game 2. But, boys, Riders right up there with Winnipeg and Montreal right now in my favorites so far this year.
Honestly, I'd put them first. The Riders ride, first of all, and they look unreal. Fadge coming in big in some clutch situations. I mean, there were some drives where it was like, come on, buddy. But, overall, I'm happy with the way the Riders look right now. I think we have a good chance of contending. The Bombers and just generally the Tobins in general, I have no faith in the longevity of their squad. So I think this is the Riders' season to lose.
Eli, what have you seen from the couch so far, if through these 2 games?
I think the offense is looking good. I think the defense is a massive surprise. Again, my concern is depth. I mean, the Riders are playing well right now, but we're sitting on the edge of a knife. If you're thinking about it realistically,
especially on the defensive side.
We have zero depth. It's just plain and simple. There's no depth. If someone goes down, we're screwed. We're playing with guys who are playing out of their minds right now, who wouldn't have even been starters 4 weeks ago. So they're playing well, but you got to keep the squad healthy, and it'll be interesting to see how they manage that. If they're going to light it, take it a bit easier in practices, things like that, because we've got no one else.
Yeah, well, on the O-line, it's really been nice to see, because we had a really good O-line, and a bunch of people didn't show up or retired or went somewhere else in the 2 years that we haven't played. And there's first-year CFLers, guys playing their first game, and that line's held up well for Cody. They've given him time to throw. They've, given him a pretty good pocket. So, I mean, I had very little faith in the offensive line going into the year, but they've done their job so far.
They look really good. And you know what? Actually, in front of my seats, there is the sectioned off area for the IR players, and I don't know who it was, but shout out to the guy in the first row of the IR section, furthest left. Didn't look like anybody was paying attention except for the furthest guy in the front row on the left, who was taking notes the entire game. I will do better for us as a podcast to figure out who that guy is, because literally every play, I think he has notes, and it was unreal to see, especially when everyone else looked like they were sleeping.
Yeah, and if it's a young guy that's just trying to crack the lineup, that's a good step in the right direction. And I'm sure other people besides you noticed that too from the organization. So
absolutely
good for him. We'll try and figure out who that is. Betting wise, I went 2-2 against the spread this week again, and 3-1 money line. So bounce back on the old money line this week, and 4-4 for both this season. Week 1 I kind of chalk up as a wash, because kind of tough to predict after 2 years off, but I think I'm going to get the gambling corner rolling again. So we'll go to week 3 here, as the schedule starts Thursday. Edmonton at BC. I'm going to take the Lions -4. I'm assuming Mike Riley will start for BC, and I just think him and Burnham as a connection on offense will be too much for Edmonton. And I think BC's defense is good enough to hold off the Elks, at least enough for BC to win by a touchdown. So I'm taking BC -4. On Friday, I got Montreal at Calgary, and this morning I got Montreal +1.5 when the betting lines opened. And then they announced that Bo Levi was hurt, so I'm feeling really good about that. If you can still get the Alouettes on as the underdog, like hammer that, because I think Montreal is going to beat the brakes off of Calgary. I could not believe that they were the underdog. Then Saturday we got another doubleheader, Winnipeg at Toronto. I got Winnipeg -6.5. I just think they're a better team than Toronto. I don't think Toronto's quarterback play can match up with Collaros and that offense. And then the Durs and Ottawa. Big line for Saskatchewan here, -10.5. But Ottawa's offense is brutal, and the Riders' offense is really, really good. So I'm taking the Riders -10.5, boys.
That's a big spread.
One. But I have faith.
I mean, if they can beat Hamilton by 22, they got to be able to beat Ottawa by 11.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Can we talk about the scheduling of the CFL this year? Like I said in the intro, I'm hosting all the Rider games, pre and post, but 4 weeks in a row of home games, like, I'm not one to complain about home games, especially if this means less home games in the winter, but, like, 2 has taken a toll on a guy. Like, give us a week off. Give us a week off. And then let's come back to 2 in a row. I don't know.
Well, and the problem is that the fourth one in that list of 4 in a row, Labor Day.
Yeah, cool.
But, yeah, they kind of made the schedule so that, because they didn't really know what Ontario was going to look like COVID-wise. So I believe Toronto hosting Winnipeg this week is the first game in Ontario in the 3 weeks. So I think they just kind of pushed all the home games west to start and then slowly trickled them east. So that's, I think, the reasoning for that. But that's the CFL, boys. It's been a busy 2 weeks, and like I said, I think Calgary, Ottawa, Edmonton have looked... Well, Ottawa's looked okay, but I don't think they're good at all. So I'm going to put them in the basement still. And then I think Montreal in the East and Winnipeg and Saskatchewan in the West are going to be tough to beat this year.
I'm with you there. I have the faith, Rawls. I have the faith. I'm ready to gamble.
Yeah, I would agree with that unless something crazy happens. But yeah, and with the scheduling, there's only so much they can do with all of that. I'm just disappointed in the lack of 4K games for TSN. But
yeah, no, you've been a 4K guy for a long time, and you're just trying to watch some.
I'm just trying to
sharp football.
I'm just trying to watch 4K.
4K TVs haven't been widely adopted by society yet because they're still outrageously priced.
Hey.
Give it another 2 years. Like, look how long it took them to get off of standard def and move to HD. Like, CFL is going to be the last league to adapt 4K.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how many 4K cameras TSN has. They probably have one, and they send it to one game a week.
By the way their 4K schedule looks, it looks like they have one.
Yeah.
But why would they broadcast in 4K if like 10% of their user base is watching in 4K? That makes no sense.
Well, why do they sell it in their cable packages?
Well, you got dummies like you trying to buy it. That's why.
Well, hey, if your network only is allowed to broadcast one sport, you might as well not do it as good as you can.
I don't know if you've ever
watched the TSN way.
I don't know if you've ever watched TSN, but they have darts and lumberjacks, Eli, okay? Those are sports too. So
let's move on to NFL preseason. Boys.
Yeah, NFL preseason. I didn't watch any. I'm just going to be totally honest. It's preseason football. I don't give a shit about it. I saw some rookies make some throws. Justin Fields ran one in. Like, he looks decent. Trevor Lawrence also looks decent. The Jags O-line is going to be what I think is going to be kind of scary for him. But that's about it. I mean, even in preseason games, these new quarterbacks, they're not playing a ton.
Yeah, like, I think Fields was the best rookie.
Yeah.
He was 14 of 20 for 142 yards and a touchdown, no picks, and then 5 rushing attempts for 33 yards and a touchdown. This guy's got to get the job sooner than later over Andy Dalton. Like, I think he looked really, really good in week number 1 of the preseason.
Completely agree. I think Andy Dalton's going to be a good mentor to Fields and just kind of let him know how the professional league works. But Fields is ready. Like, Bears Nation is ready.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
He's going to put butts in the seats. He's going to sell jerseys. He's the future.
100%.
Trey Lance with the Niners looked all right. He was 5 of 14, but he had 128 yards and a touchdown. He completed a big 80-yard touchdown to Trent Sherfield, which was probably the best play for all quarterbacks. Zach Wilson was 6 of 9 for 63 yards. A lot of short stuff, but, I mean, accurate, which is fine. Mac Jones, same thing, 13 of 19 for 87. But that's the Patriots' offense. I mean, those short slant dink and dunk passes, you know. It's so if he can do that successfully, and I think he did, he was very accurate with his throws. Mac Jones could get some reps over Cam as well. We'll see how that one goes. And then Trevor Lawrence, 6 of 9 for 71. He only played 2 drives, sacked twice, fumbled on a sack. He recovered it, though. But, yeah, it was tough. The O-line didn't do him any favors. Although he did say that he held onto the ball too long for one of them, and that was his fault. So, but, yeah, we'll have to see. But those 5 rookies, I mean, they all have shots at being number 1.
Well, and you know what? I'll give a shout-out as well to Mr. Interception himself, Nathan Peterman. He looked great in the Raiders' first preseason game / the Raiders' first preseason W over Eli's Seahawks. I was very surprised.
Yeah, Peterman, not a boy. Didn't throw 5 interceptions in a game, so that's a positive. Falcons got absolutely stomped by the Titans. Some guy named Felipe Franks played quarterback for the Falcons, and he was not good. 2 of 9 for 16 yards, but he rushed the ball for 76, so, like, okay, cool. Yeah, I turned it off at halftime. It was awful to watch. Honestly, I hate NFL preseason football. It bores the pants right off of me, boys.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to watch.
Just a couple little news tidbits here. There's not a whole lot from the NFL. It's a lot of preseason talk. We're not going to be able to go in depth on your favorite team. There's 32 teams here. Usain Bolt said he'd put up one of his gold medals as collateral if Chiefs receiver Tyreek Hill put up one of his Super Bowl rings in a 70-meter race. So that'd be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. This might be controversial, but I think that's a pretty shitty bet.
And let's talk about one of Tyreek's Super Bowl rings. Does Tyreek only have one?
Yeah, I guess his Super Bowl ring, yeah.
Yeah, he's got one.
Yeah, Bolt's...
I mean, if I'm Tyreek, I'm not putting up that bet simply because I'm not giving away my first and only Super Bowl ring. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, the Super Bowl ring is definitely worth way more than the gold medal, like, as a piece of hardware. And Bolt has, like, 12 of them.
Yeah.
But it'd be a fun race to watch either way. Baltimore draftee, Rashad Bateman, wide receiver. Baltimore just can't catch any breaks at the receiver position, and I don't feel bad about it, but he's out until sometime in September with a groin injury. He got surgery on it. Baltimore is incapable of having a number 1 receiver.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's just tough luck. That's a camp injury. It's going to happen to someone. Soft tissue, it's going to happen. I think the surgery went fine. It's not that long. Like,
yeah, no,
that's
it's fine, but it's just like another. It's like Perriman or they just can't catch a break when drafting receivers. But yeah, that's all I've really got.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything that's happened recently.
Let's get to the main event, boys.
Yeah, our quarterbacks for fantasy. Who
10.
do you want to target? And
sleepers, busts.
Yeah. I think the first one is going to be pretty easy.
I was thinking the same thing until I saw Riley's list, and
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Riley,
do we want to go? Do we want to go 3 at a time here?
Yeah, we'll go 1 and 1.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
we'll do ones first.
Just give our first 3. I mean, Riley, you might as well start us off.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, I'm going away from what you guys think is going to be the easy number 1. That's for sure. I'm taking Josh Allen, number 1. He, I think, has proved that Guy's a beast. Last year he was very good. He was just behind Patty Mahomes in fantasy points. So I think he's going to take the next step this year and pass Mahomes. As Mahomes was I know he missed some time with that, knee injury.
Yep.
But Allen led the league in fantasy points by a quarterback last year. And I think he's going to do it again. So he's my number one. Mahomes is going to go number 2 for me.
Still,
I mean, you can't go wrong
Allen
with either of them, I feel like.
Woof, I don't know.
He led the league last year. It's my boy. Mahomes number 2. And then I'm going Kyler Murray number 3, boys. I think no matter what, fantasy-wise, he's going to put up good numbers. He rushes the ball enough. He ran the ball for 819 yards and 11 touchdowns last year, so that's huge fantasy-wise to have that dual-threat QB. So, Allen, Mahomes, Kyler are my top 3. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't disagree with you on the top 3 as 3 general good QBs, but the order, I mean, you got to put Patrick Mahomes number 1. It's Patty Mahomes and it's the Chiefs. All they do is put up points and let their defense let them down. So, without a doubt, I'm putting Patty Mahomes number 1. I don't think he's getting injured this year. I hope he's not getting injured this year. The NFL as a league is hoping he doesn't get injured this year because he is the NFL as we know it. I'm going Kyler Murray number 2 because, like you said, with those rush yards, that dual threat, I know firsthand how clutch it is to get 30 points a game from your QB. That being Kyler. Gotta be Kyler. And then I don't disagree with you that Josh Allen has taken that next step. He is a stud. Buffalo, of all places, is looking like a great franchise. They're on the up and coming. So I got Josh Allen number 3, but I just disagree with your order, Rels. How can you put Patty Mahomes not number 1? He is the NFL.
Yeah, it's just Josh Allen gets those rushing touchdowns where Patty doesn't really do it. He has too many weapons in the offense there, and the rushing touchdowns are worth more than the passing touchdowns.
You know, and if he's passing to Kels, I'm stoked. Also, side note. I just want to put out to all the listeners out there that you've probably heard me call Travis Kells for the entirety of me being on this podcast. And he has come out and said his name is pronounced Kells, not Kelsey, as some would like to say. He says Kelsey is his nickname. Kells is how you properly pronounce it. I just want to give a big shout out to my boy, Kells.
I was wondering when that was going to get brought up. Eli?
I have the same. It's this just different order. I've got Mahomes 1, Josh Allen 2, Kyler Murray 3.
So we agree on the top 3.
Yeah, I mean Patrick Mahomes
just
is
projected slightly different orders.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is projected to finish the season with 500 more yards than Josh Allen. 40 TDs, and I think that's on the light side of things. The rushing TDs, yes, he's not going to get those, but whatever, he's a quarterback. Josh Allen's only projected to have 1 less rushing TD than Kyler Murray, which is interesting. And I just think for my personal rankings, you've got a way safer bet at Josh Allen at like the second quarterback than a mobile quarterback.
I don't know. Josh Allen doesn't have John Brown to throw to this year, and Kyler has D-Hop. Like, period, end of story. The guy can catch a ball between 3 defenders in the end zone. It's hard to argue with that.
I mean, Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs, who outranked D-Hop last year.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, Stephon Diggs is like 5 foot what? And D-Hop will catch the ball over 3 defenders in the end zone. I'm just saying.
Moving on, boys. That we have the order. You can't go wrong with those 3.
No.
4th through 6th for me here. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers at the 4th spot. I think he's going to be on an FU tour and just stick it to the management while probably like getting them into a playoff spot and then leaving next year. So I think this is like a show I still got it year for Aaron Rodgers. So I think he's going to be good and go in that 4 spot there. I'm going to take Russ Bus Wilson in the 5 spot. When you're throwing a DK, you're going to put up points. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hopefully that O-line is better this year. And then I'm going Justin Herbert at the 6th spot. I think he really showed out as a rookie for the Chargers. He's had another offseason under his belt as the bona fide starter. So I think that he is going to stay in that 6-ish area, and the Chargers are going to have a pretty good year offensively.
Right on. Well, Rouse, we agree on something, but I'm going to jump and say Dak Prescott at number 4. He was a top fantasy quarterback before he got injured. I think he's going on the Adrian Peterson comeback tour season this year, and he's just going to blow up. So I'm taking him number 4. I think he's going to be a steal in most drafts because people are going to be undercutting him from his injury last year. Number 5, I've got Lamar Jackson. I mean, the guy runs the ball nonstop like a crazy person. So really, you can't go wrong as long as he has someone to throw the ball to. So hopefully Bateman is back sooner than later. And then number 6, Rawls, I agree with you. Justin Herbert, he looked like a stud last year, complete stud. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong and be pushing in that top 5 spot for next year.
Nice, I like it. Yeah, Dak. I got to see it from Dak after his injury, but he could for sure be that 4 spot QB. Eli?
I don't even have Justin Herbert on my list.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's going to be better ones. I mean, I don't know. There's rookie hype. I think it'll be interesting to see how he handles, a full offense. See how he operates the entire
As opposed
playbook.
to last year when he had half an offense.
Well, he came in for Tyrod, who got punctured lungs. So that is not a full offense. Yes, that's correct. Because he was a rookie quarterback stepping in when he shouldn't have started. So I don't know. I think there's just other guys on this list who I would draft way before him.
Yeah. Well, who do you got, proven. 4 through 6?
So 4, I've got Lamar. Obviously, you're going to have those rushing points, which are just insane. Apparently, he's learned to throw the ball, so that should improve, considerably. He's going to apparently make connections on deep passes. Then I got Russell Wilson. Of course, he's got DK and Tyler Lockett, so those are really good. A good 1-2 punch for a quarterback if the O-line's healthy. And then I've got Ryan Tannehill at my number 6. That guy is going to be a stud. He's got Julio Jones, who has single-handedly kept Matt Ryan relevant, and then A.J. Brown, who's an absolute rock star. Like, arguably, again, like, that's probably the top 3 wide receiver 1-2 in the NFL. So
for sure it is.
And he's not afraid to run. And he's not afraid to run. Well, and that's the thing. I don't think Julio's coming in and being that number 1 guy.
Yeah, it's just his foot is made of glass.
It's true.
So
either way, Julio's pulling 2 corners to his side, or 2 defenders. Excuse me.
You can't.
Yeah,
AJ might be better than a Julio at this point in his career.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be gross.
Gonna have a good year.
Yeah, it's going to be gross.
So
yeah,
one-on-one, I agree. It's going to be a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sure. I've got those are my that's 4, 5, 6 for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Might as well just do the final 4 here each.
Yep.
At 7, I have Dak. He could easily move up that list, but I just want him to prove it. The mobility of him, who knows what that's like now. That was a gruesome injury. So we'll have to see about that. Lamar at 8, sure, anyone can throw the ball in practice. So we'll see. And he'll probably get COVID for a third time at some point in the season. So not hanging on to Lamar too tightly. And then 9, I have Tannehill. For sure, a top 10 quarterback in my eyes. I mean, he's not the best quarterback on the list. He's probably not a top 15 quarterback personally. But when you have that 1-2 at receiver, and they kind of have to stack the box a little bit because, the best running back in the league is also back there. He's going to have a year for sure. Number 10, I got Matt Stafford with the Rams. I think he's got some good weapons there at receiver. The O-line's pretty decent. The running back, we don't really know what's going to happen there because of the injuries that have happened in that backfield, but I think Matt Stafford is going to be able to sling the ball around. He was able to do it with the Lions, and I think overall he has better weapons throughout the lineup than he did with Detroit, so I expect him to have a pretty good season with the Rams.
All right. Well, just to build off that, I've got Matt Stafford as my number 7 QB. He's got Deshaun Jackson, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods to throw the ball to. He's been on a garbage franchise for his entire career. I think this is Matt Stafford's prove-it season, that he was drafted first overall for a reason. And I'm excited to see what the Rams have in store. Also, the Rams need to sign Adrian Peterson. It's like end of story, period. Like, they've had the injuries. What do they have to lose? The guy's looking for a job. Sign him. Get a solid running back. He's old, but he's still...
I want them to grab Frank the Tank.
Yeah,
No.
I would go Frank the Tank.
No, Adrian Peterson is still Adrian Peterson.
He can't
Number-
catch, though.
Well, who cares? They've got 3 stud receivers that can. And a good tight end, so that's all they need.
Okay, and then
number 8,
instead of...
What?
Yeah.
What?
I was just saying, what's your next one instead of fixing the football team?
Okay, well, I'm just saying. That's what they need to do, period. Number 8, I've got Russell Wilson. Eli, like you said, they've got Lockett. And they've got Metcalf. So Wilson's always a reliable QB to have in fantasy. And this year, I don't think it's going to be any different. I wouldn't put him any higher than 8, but, I mean, he's a good guy to grab late in drafts, hopefully. Number 9, I've got Tannehill. With that stud receiving core, as again, that has been talked about, it's hard not to have him in the top 10. But there's something about him that I don't know. I'm just not fully there. I don't think he would be as good as he is without that Derrick Henry threat. So I'm keeping him at 9. You know, I'm staying conservative in this moment only. So, yeah. And then just to blow everyone's minds, at number 10, I've got Justin Fields. He is going to take over the starter position. It's only a matter of time. I'm sorry, he looks like a stud in preseason. Bears Nation should be stoked on what the future holds for them. He is going to be an extremely late round draft pick, but if you're in a keeper league like us, like, stud. Steal in the draft. I think maybe he doesn't go. Maybe he doesn't even go in your draft, but by week 2 or 3, he's going to be a top free agency pickup. Easy, no questions asked.
Nice. I like the reach. Conservative at 9. Going for it at 10.
You gotta go for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When we're doing season 5 next year, Justin Fields is going to be way higher up on this list.
Yeah, I liked him in that preseason game for sure. Eli, what are your final 4?
My final 4 are Aaron Rodgers in the 7 spot. Then I'm going to go Dak at 8. Then at 9, Matthew Stafford as well. And then at 10, I'm going to toss in Baker. Yeah.
Barf.
You were high on him last year. It lost you a sandwich.
Barf.
Well, I mean, he didn't have his number 1 receiver last year, and he's still improved.
Yeah.
Like, he's only improving.
Yeah.
Like, it's not he hasn't regressed at all.
Maybe we see sandwich bet round 2 on Baker this year.
I would bet like a sandwich and probably $100 that Baker Mayfield's going to finish with more yards and touchdowns than Justin Fields.
Well, you can make another bet as soon as I receive my sandwich, Eli. Like, that's the bottom line. You got to pay up.
Yeah, well, Eli's going to be home.
Again.
Eli's going to be home Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend.
We'll talk Labor Day weekend when I'm eating that Italian Star sandwich.
And drinking 12 steam whistles.
That's right. I've yet to consume either, so.
Before we head out here, let's do our sleepers and busts. I might as well just go first. I think Jameis Winston could be a sleeper. He always put up yards and touchdowns. I mean, he was like a 23 to 30 point guy as a QB. Obviously, you don't want him as your starter, but on those bye weeks where your starting QB's gone, I think Jameis is a good pickup late in the draft, depending on how deep your draft is, or to pick up as a waiver wire guy. And then Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's getting like QB 22 projections this year. I just don't think that he's going to be QB 22 with Ridley there, Pitts there. He's still going to put up the yards. I don't think he's a top 10 QB. I don't think he's a top 15 QB. But, again, a fill-in guy, and certainly not the 22nd best quarterback in the NFL. As for Bus, I'm going with Jalen Hurts. He's rated pretty high. I think he's a top 15 QB projected right now, and I just don't think that's going to happen with the Philly offense. And Joe Burrow, I think he's going to be fine. I just don't think his O-line's going to be good enough. So I'd be careful on reaching for someone like Joe Burrow in your draft.
Fair enough, Rawls. Fair enough. For my sleepers, I've got Trey Lance. I think there's a reason San Fran gave up all they did to draft up for Trey Lance. Again, he's not someone you're going to be targeting in the draft per se. Maybe if you're in a 12-man league and a 12-man 2 QB league, then maybe he's an option for you. But as soon as you hit those bye weeks, as soon as some QBs start going down with injuries, which is inevitable, Trey Lance is going to be a great option. Second, I've got Mac Jones. As much as I hate to say it, like the Patriots know what they're doing with the quarterbacks. They have their system in place. You don't have to be a great QB to fit into the system. You just have to buy into it. I don't really have a lot of faith in Cam sticking around as the starter for that long.
Yeah, me either.
So I think Mac is going to come in later in the season, start getting into some games, and you never know what you're going to get from him, but
yeah,
I think he's got to keep your eye on 100%. And then for my busts, first of all, I have Drew Lock. Stay away from Denver, like in general.
In general, yeah.
Like, there's nothing that I like from them. Jerry Jeudy, great receiver, but I think he's as of now, he's a wasted talent on that offense. It's sad to see, but yeah, like, I don't know who in their right mind is even looking at Drew Lock to have in their league. Even on those bye weeks, you're not picking up Drew Lock. If you are, please don't talk to me. Second, I've got Andy Dalton. Like I said, I put Justin Fields at number 10 on my QB list. Andy is going to be a great mentor for Justin, but it's Andy Dalton. Like, he's not starting more than 3 weeks. Like, record me on that. Quote me on that. He's not starting more than 3 weeks. Justin is ready to start. It's only a matter of time. If you draft Andy Dalton, please stop playing fantasy football. It's time.
I love the takes, Harry. You keep it fun for me. Eli, sleepers and busts before we head out here.
Okay, sleepers, I'll go Justin Fields because you're not drafting him because he's not a starter. And then I'll go Joe Burrow. I'm kind of on the opposite side. I think he's going to make a couple steps. Sure, his offensive line sucks, but he does
have a nice young receiving core.
Yeah, he's got a good young receiving core. He's a good quarterback. I think he can take a step up for sure, and someone you could grab late for like a bye week or something like that.
Yeah,
he's got a good matchup. My busts, Daniel Jones. This is going to be his last season as a starter for the Giants. And then Cam Newton. Cam Newton's also done. Mac Jones is taking that starting job.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, those are mine. Just quick and dirty.
I'll post our lists on the Facebook and Twitter so everyone can ridicule us like they did last year.
I just want to say everyone was ridiculing me for my picks, and they turned out to be surprisingly accurate. So, check yourselves, listeners.
Hot Takes Harry, letting you know.
Check yourselves.
All right, and before we wrap, just want to tease the Survivor Pool. We'll do that again this year. Basically, enter for free, win a jersey if you're the last one standing. And then our fantasy league, that's a draw because it's a big ticket item. We play a 16-man fantasy league run by, Eli sets it up, and then I seem to run it for the entire year. That's fun. The 16-team league is...
Year. I couldn't even check it last year.
Yeah, we will for sure because
it's
interesting. It's interesting for sure, that 60-man league. You're scrambling. But it's a lot of fun, and Kenneth has won 2 years in a row in our league. He was the 8th seed in the playoffs and pulled out another dub this year. So someone's got to dethrone Kenneth. He's got the auto bid. The other 14 spots up for grabs, boys.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good season. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait.
I can't believe we're already back to it.
Yeah, we are. And with that, as always, thank you for listening. Check us out on the social medias at Squib Kick Radio. And with that, we will. I don't know. Is it next week?
Next week we gotta do receivers or running backs or some tight ends.
We'll talk to you next week then.
Peace.
Go get vaccinated, you DJs.
I got you stuck off the realness. Think not, this shit's too hot. Too hot. Too hot. Rock you in your face. Dab your brain with your nose bone. I'm a vampire walking on the surface of the sun.